Hello and welcome to the Ratnest podcast, episode number 65, 64, 66? I don't know. With Amber Giusti.
Hey! What up, Amber?
Welcome back to the conversation we were just having. How are you doing?
I'm doing so good. I'm a little sleepy, but it's pretty typical for me.
Are you a frequent cat napper? Do you sleep a lot, like during the day and stuff?
I'm not a big napper, but I do consistently sleep like 10 to 12 hours at night.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which is insane, I think. It's
I'm
probably like indicative of a problem, but whatever. I love to sleep.
I'm about that 10-hour life.
Yeah, 10 hours sleep. That's me too. If I can get it, I don't understand how people can go on 4 or 5 hours of sleep every night.
I think they're lying.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's actually happy that gets that little sleep.
Yeah, they're just miserable all day long.
I've done both. I've been able to sleep more now because I work as a bartender. But when I was like managing restaurants and I was sleeping like 6 hours and I'd wake up in the middle of the night like, what? Does someone need the day off? Or like something that was like, put on me. I slept a lot less and not indicative of like a great lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done that too. I've had moments in my life where I was only able to get like 4-ish hours of sleep a night, and I was miserable. And I was so mean to everyone and mad about everything all the time. Whew, not a good time.
Dude, well, you're busy now. You work all the time. You go to school. You paint.
Yeah.
Where do you find time to sleep?
Well, I've managed to sleep is a really big priority for me now after going through that period of time where I was only able to get like 4 or 5 hours a night. I really have structured my life in a way that prioritizes sleep. So I'm busy, but I like schedule sleep for myself.
You have to.
And I really don't work that much. I only work like 3 days a week, and then my school program is really awesome. I only go to class once a month.
Oh, wow.
What?
I have a lot of free time. Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't know you only went once a month. I thought you were like every week.
No, it's I work on school stuff all the time, but I only have to actually physically be there for these like 3-day sessions once a month. It's awesome. It works so well for me.
That's rad. Yeah, being able to control your time is probably the biggest asset that we can have as adults, and humans.
Yeah.
Being able to say, no, you know what, I'm gonna sleep a little extra today, or I'm not gonna do shit for the rest of my day because I need to take some time. Like, that is so valuable, and people discount that so much, or a lot of times even look down on it. Like, oh, you're not doing anything with your time. It's like, no, you don't understand what I'm getting done.
Lazy, like. Yeah, it's a really good like boundary to have with yourself or with myself. It's something that I've had to learn the hard way from a lot of years of like ignoring those cues when I was tired or when I really didn't feel like going out, but being like, oh, I should, or like, oh, I should be productive. And then being like, why am I so burnt out and miserable all the time?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because I'm never resting.
Yo, it's so funny. When you're 25, like it sounds like such an old man thing to say, but when you're like 20, 25, you're like, I'm just running on jet fuel. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It does not matter.
Gonna go do what I'm gonna do and not feel the effects. And then just 10 years later, here I am like, sleep is the most important aspect of life. It's so silly.
Someone wanted to hang out with me last night, and I was like, you got to hit me up before 9 p.m. because if I don't leave my house by 9, I'm pretty much going in the sleep direction. And I was like, I'm just an old lady, but that's okay. It's all right.
I think that's why they call it old people, because as you get older, that's what you do. You just tend to want to sleep and stay in and hang out with your animals.
Which is very nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The best nights are watching Rupert Murdoch documentaries and just having a nice cozy slumber time at 9 p.m. It's so funny, dude. But anyways, thanks for doing the show again.
Oh, of course.
We wanted to mention that you were the first person we ever interviewed, technically. Even though you were episode 2, you were the first interview we did. And me and Jim talked about like ourselves for like 30 minutes because we didn't know the format. And then like it changed after that. it was just a learning experience. But thanks for coming back and talking with us, dude.
Oh man, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
I went back and kind of looked over that episode a little bit, and it's so funny. It's so obvious that we had no idea what we were doing back then. And the fact that you
still don't.
The fact that you were down to like just jump on with with us first try, like, I don't know, trial run, let's see how it goes. And then to see from where we went then to where we are now, like I appreciate you stepping up and being willing to kind of be the guinea pig with us and see like, well, maybe there's only going to be 2 episodes out ever and you're going to be one of them. But that really helped. I mean, at that point, obviously that's what catalyzed us to keep going. So thank you so much for being down.
I mean, from my perspective, it's like, what do I have to lose? Just like talk to a couple of buds that are doing a really cool thing with art. Like that's fine.
Dude,
That's great.
Is your computer in the same place as it was in episode 2?
Yeah.
I feel like you're in your kitchen, right? Yeah. Yeah. I remember this.
Yep.
That's so funny. That rules. I'm going to cut in clips of episode 2.
I think I had a way bigger beard.
Yeah. So since then, you've been working a lot, but also your illustrative styles kind of changed a little bit. You've taken a little bit of like a turn to me, at least in the work that I saw, a few years ago when we started hanging out, and then to now. So like, what kind of turned you, or what have you been digging lately?
So the biggest change was right around that time, which that was like 2 years ago, or was it like a year ago, or?
It was probably like 2 years ago now, going on 2 years. Yeah.
But right around the time that we did that podcast, I got my hands on an iPad and I started doing digital illustration, it was really interesting. It was a big learning curve and it really changed my approach, at least in the digital world.
Sure.
Which is not a world I had ever really like explored as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So the art that I make digitally is really different from what I paint, and that's like mostly just access to tools and the skills that I've learned, and it's been really cool. I feel like I'm still learning every single time I pick up the iPad. I'm like, wow, I found this new crazy tool that I can do, or this new like little trick or whatever. It was just like a comfortable thing too, because I could work on digital art from like sitting on my couch versus going out to the studio and like getting everything set up, which is a process that I really enjoy. But I think I was just in a moment where I was like, I need this to be a little easier and a little more accessible.
Right.
And like different ways to create. Yeah.
That type.
I couldn't hear what you
I
said.
was saying like different ways to create, like different feelings, like you're saying, like you can set up the studio and get everything right, and then that feels right for a painting or something. But sometimes you just want to be in the moment, and it's accessible to be on your iPad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I did just start. It's actually funny. So I mentioned the AI thing earlier.
Oh yeah, what's that called? Can you tell me, because I've been seeing everyone post about it, and you said it, and I was like, but I don't know. Like, I don't know what it's about.
So, I mean, obviously, AI is a much bigger thing than this, but there is an app called Lensa that has this like new feature where it will create AI images of you. It basically creates like paintings of you, so it's like selfies or whatever. And I've seen like a trend, everyone's kind of like jumping on board, but then I'm seeing this like very equal opposite, like it has come out that the way they taught this AI to create art is by using open source data, which essentially means that they're like stealing artistic styles from artists, from like real people, and then they're using those styles to create this art. And I totally see the controversy, and obviously like I don't like art theft fucking sucks and I do not support that, but there is this whole other side to it where like I did it. I played the little game. I like uploaded a bunch of like pictures of me, and then I got
Right.
all of these like amazing images of myself in like other worlds and like as like alien me, and it was actually really inspiring to me, and it like motivated me to go out to my studio and start painting again, which I feel like there's both sides to this thing where there is this like shadow side, and it the tech maybe isn't being used in the best way right now, and there is a better way to teach this AI. But like the biggest argument I'm hearing is like this is going to take jobs away from artists who like are they make their living doing marketing or whatever. And to me, that's reminiscent of like people working on a factory line saying, well, I don't want my job to be automated away. And it's like, well, maybe your time could be better spent just like creating for the sake of creating instead of like creating for a company that you don't even maybe like, you know.
Well, I'm just curious too. At this point, like we've grown up with the internet and we've grown up with like artificial intelligence and seen how it's come about to do these kind of things. And at what point doesn't artists get to say that their art is only their own? Because anyone that does street art, anyone that does graffiti, or anyone really that sells their work, then that's someone else's art, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
that's a really important piece of the debate, I think, is like, and I mean, like I said, I see both sides very clearly, and I really understand both sides. Like,
yeah, it sucks.
I don't want anyone to steal from me, and that fucking sucks. But also, I'm in the camp of once you create something and put it into the world, it's not yours anymore. You don't get to decide how people react to it. You don't get to decide what they choose to do while they're listening to your song or while they're, how your art is going to make them feel. You don't get to decide that stuff.
Artists only get intent. We get intent to put it into the world, and then it's the world's, right? So, with the AI thing, it sucks because it does a good job of something shitty. But at the same time, it's, that comes with technology. Like that's where we're at in the world.
And you have to remember too, like while this will be its own specific style of art, artists are still going to be needed, and you're not, this isn't going to take away opportunity from artists. Yes, it might create a whole new avenue or a whole new style of art, but I don't see it necessarily. It'll take away some of the BS art jobs, the stuff that artists don't necessarily want to be doing, but you're still going to need a David Cho to get that feeling in that style. You're still going to need an Andy Warhol to be able to recognize that this is how it should be done right now outside of it, because an AI like that will never be able to think outside the box. They'll be gathering from things that have already been done and never expanding or adding to them, but they'll never be something totally new. It'll be amalgamations of other things put together.
Yeah. Well, and I have been resistant towards technology. Like there's a lot of stuff that I don't engage with because I'm like, oh, I don't understand, like I was like, the internet came around when I was like 7 or 8 years old. So I've like had a phone for a long time. I've had access to the internet for most of my life, but there's still parts of me where I'm like, I don't want a fucking Google Home or Alexa in my home. Like I don't want any. So I get like the resistance, but this was the first thing that this is the first like moment in my life where I engaged with AI, and I was like, oh, this is like a conversation. Like I put something into it and it showed me something different, and now I'm creating something new because of that conversation. And it's like, I see it exactly what you said. I see it closing some doors, but maybe those doors sucked anyway. Like maybe no one actually wants that marketing art job because it's soul sucking, and maybe our time could be better spent. Like creatives have to create, and if I'm just imagining a world where maybe people's basic needs are met in other ways, and then if you want to create, you just can, because you don't have to worry about like making art to survive or whatever.
I
don't know, idealism.
Hey, can we pause real quick? The Rotary meeting just got let out, and there's like 100 people filing outside the door. And
Can you hear that? They were singing Christmas songs a second ago.
That's awesome. No, I can't hear it.
Yeah.
I just know it's gonna be tough to pull out all of their holly jolly Christmas.
No, but like, let's fill it with some fun time. Like, so to come off topic, but with the topic, you said you got internet when you were 7, 8, right? So it's like, what was your first screen name?
Oh man,
that was a good question.
I don't
Apparently,
remember my first one, but I remember when I was definitely in middle school. The first one I remember was Couch Patch from Homestar Runner.
Yes. Homestar Runner ruled.
Homestar was
dude,
rad.
if you don't know what Homestar is, you're too young to hang out. So
Yeah, that's right.
Get out of here.
It's Twombay.
Yeah, Trogdor all day.
Trogdor.
Yeah, everyone's favorite internet sensation.
It was
I
amazing.
had a Trogdor sweatshirt in middle school, and I felt very cool.
Yeah. That was the golden age of the internet right there.
Yeah, like our siblings wouldn't know what that is. That was like a special time for sure.
It was, and there was specific websites dedicated to just dumb things like hamster dance. You just go there and there's just hamsters dancing for no reason.
That cute little song.
Yeah.
Stick Death. You remember Stick Death was a big one when I was a kid.
I recall that name, but I don't remember.
It was just stick figures getting murdered. I don't know. I don't know what the sensation was about, but everyone in junior high had to go Stick Death and watch the stick figures get murdered. So,
oh, okay,
we did that.
I definitely did see that.
That was also the age where like the internet was symbiotic with like the dark web. Like you could just type in a website and find you need a murderer, like I got you. Go to the corner of this street in this street, we'll talk about it, or there was I
don't really spend any time just like surfing the web anymore. It's all kind of like funneled into these apps where we like scroll through and decide if something is interesting enough. Maybe I'll go to another website, but I could just like read a meme about it. Maybe I'll just do that.
The worst thing is like the only websites I type into my computer are to check like my email. It's sad. Maybe to buy like a pair of shoes. Sometimes I'll like be like, all right, I'll see what this website has. But it's so silly. Everything is just apps, like you said. Like I only have Instagram. I don't even have like Twitter or Facebook or anything like that. But it's kind of just the only way people communicate now. It's very silly.
It's very silly. I do have Facebook, but I use it for a really specific thing where I am in just like these very weird niche groups, and I just read what comments and like there's a group called like fuck this Michigan destroying map. Like I'm in a lot of map groups, which is like such a weird niche of people that I'm just fascinated. Like there's like collectives of people that feel really strongly about whether or not New Zealand is on a map. And then there's like memes and all this like really like inside baseball discourse. And it's so amazing funny to me. I'm in a bunch of like math groups and like linguistics groups and cat groups and anything you can think of, basically.
Dude, that's the best way to use the internet.
By the subcultures.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Like people that are on Nextdoor are the worst. You
I've heard that.
Learn about why New Zealand isn't on a map or why cats are the best. That sounds way better than someone parked too close to my time. Yeah, someone parked in front of my garage, kind of. Like it's so bad.
My mom is on Nextdoor, and the reason I haven't joined it is because she'll tell me like everyone there is just fucking racist and like scared. They'll be like, this car's been parked outside of my house. I think I'm gonna call the cops. And she's like, whoa, like don't do that.
Dude, yeah, it's real. That's exactly what it is. And I pity myself because I signed up for it when I lived in San Diego because I wanted to know about the construction in the neighborhood. And then now I just get emails every day that's like, well, this has been here too long. And that's like the gist of it. It's so bad. It's so stupid.
ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, cat groups, let's go. I like to watch docs
Fun.
videos. I'm a little partial to wiener dogs, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find a lot of joy in like seeing other people's like dog life.
It's very cute. It's very cat groups especially are just like, well, the ones that I'm in, they're very supportive and they're just a lot of people like being like, you're doing a good, like no shaming here. Like we just want to all have a good time. It's really nice.
Dang, that's a
I get
rare
little
part of the
stoned, and then I
internet.
go on Facebook and God, I just feel like I'm so old.
Joey, I work at a Mexican food restaurant now. I don't know if we've talked since I started working there, but
No, we haven't. I saw that you're bartending, right?
yeah,
There?
it's fine. It's a Mexican
It's
food
fine.
restaurant. It's great. I love it. But I'm the oldest person there at 35. I'm like, fuck, I'm old. Some girl asked me like, "Oh, what's your Riz?" And I was like, "All right, what is that like?" And she's like your game, like your yeah. I was like, "Oh, like your steez." She's like, "Steez." And I was like, "That was our term for the Riz." It's so silly, dude.
Your Riz?
I'm
What
old.
Is that even?
I'm old at 35. I don't know. So cat groups are right up my alley. Dog groups are right up my alley. It's so
This
funny.
is something that like I just don't have any nothing I do in my life intersects with younger people. And
Right.
I'm like, I'm accidentally creating this like a huge Grand Canyon between me and the next generation. And I don't mean to do it, but I'm just like, every time I overhear a conversation of like 20 something or 50, like teenagers, I'm just like, I don't know what you're saying. And I'm not like mad about it. I'm just like, oh no, I see the gulf opening wider and wider.
Yeah.
Which
and I'm
is-
just over here and they're probably like, nerd,
Well, it's funny because they probably think you're way too cool for school. It's like you look at yourself and you're fucking tatted on your neck. It's like, oh, that chick probably knows what the fuck is up, and then you're the one
What's your
insecure
Riz?
about what
What's your Riz?
some little kid, some 16-year-old what they think. So funny.
Well, thank you. I appreciate. I will take that compliment. I don't know. I just feel like I would be so out of my depth around any kids.
Dude.
So jumping over to like the art that you've been doing, like you said that you kind of went, because before when we first interviewed, it was all pretty much you who were just doing watercolor, and we have a couple of those, and I have one in the house. Thank you for sending that, by the way.
As do I.
I love that piece. But since then, and transitioning over into the digital, how has that kind of affected your Riz, your style, your steez? Like that has to be so different.
Oh, I hope he uses another word because I still don't understand what Riz is. Okay, my style. Yeah, I mean, I think I am a little bit more like experimental with
Okay. Yeah.
digital art just because it's so much easier to try something and then just undo it, you can just say, oh, never mind, versus like I mentioned earlier, I started working on a painting a couple of days ago, and I'm a little bit experimental with like the stuff that I'm doing in the physical world, but it's a little bit more like thoughtful, where I'm like, okay, if I decide to experiment in this way, that's it. Like I made the choice and it's really hard to undo it, or incorporate it. And I still let myself do that a little bit in like with my hands and with paint, but digitally it's like I try things that I would never think to try or would never like consider that would align with my style, but it's so much easier to undo what you do that I feel like just a little bit more experimental.
So much more forgiving. Yeah, you can run around so much more and not worry about leaving a trail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And
once I figured out like all the ins and outs of using layers and shit in Procreate, and like I'm like, man, you can just do anything and then undo it.
Serious.
That's awesome. Like the first few things that I did digitally, I did not understand all of those tricks. So I was like really trying to approach it the way I would approach a painting. And I was like, this is really hard.
Yeah.
And then the more tricks I learned, the more I was like, oh, this is boom, 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 copy paste. do this, undo that, like
Yeah.
easy.
So this is your first experience with digital art is just recently in the last 2 years, you say? That's
Yeah, I was
you
always
never
like,
use Photoshop, Illustrator, or anything like that?
no, it's actually funny you say that because that's a thing in my life where I'm like, I really wish that I had some experience with Photoshop and Illustrator, and I feel like it would like really help and just inform, like make certain things a lot easier. But there's just only so many apps I can learn to navigate in this lifetime.
Have you gone and messed around and found like different brush packs that people offer and like different gradients? And have you tried any of those? I've heard a lot of good things, but never really experimented.
Yeah, I bought a pack from True Grit. They're like, I don't know. I mean, I haven't done a whole lot of exploring, but that was one that the algorithm recommended to me on Instagram. And I was like, oh, I do like the way that looks. And it's just a more, it's more like kind of lo-fi, like almost comic booky, like it makes it's really funny because it looks like it's just real paper, which is like,
shout out.
It's so funny that we want that even on the digital thing. It's like, I want it to look like I drew this on a real piece of paper.
Yes. Our boy Christopher Sperandio, who we do the U.S. distribution for, uses some of those packs from Retro Supply, and it gives it that really like quality, like old school feel, but it doesn't look cheesy. You know what I mean? It like seems really natural. And he does daily comics, so shout out Pinko Joe. Check him out on Instagram. But yeah, he's done a couple of those like font packs for them, and then they do those like washes and like the brushes packs, and all the different packs you can get. It's I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. I love the idea. It looks really good. I can't hate on it, but I don't think I can do it. I'm a sucker for paint, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, there's something very different. Like the main reason that I make art is the process really does something for me. Like it's very meditative, and it's one of the few things in my life that allows me to like stop thinking for a second.
Do you feel that way when you do digital art though?
What was that?
Do you feel that way when you do digital art, like on your iPad? Do you feel that same way?
That's kind of what I was gonna say. Is it's different. Like I have gotten to that place with making digital art, but it feels a little bit different, and it's the process is just different. Like it's almost like a ritual the way that I paint with like actual physical paint.
Yeah.
And just the whole process, like touching it with my hand. I'm a very tactile person, so like having my like face in it and touching it and like picking up the paint tubes and like really like feeling what color I want to use, like that's a whole thing that like taps into a different part of my body than my mind. And digitally it just feels a little different, but I like it. And I have, like I said, I have had that I have been able to tap into that flow space with it. But it's, I don't know, it's just different. Like well, and there's just working on this painting the last couple days, I'm like, oh yeah, like this is a thing I haven't felt in quite a long time. And I think it's just like really being like immersed in
like learning something new too. Yeah.
Well, and I think it shows too that there's place for both. You know what I mean? Sometimes you want to just produce and you have to get an idea out quick, grab the iPad and just scribble it out. And sometimes it's like, you know what? I need to churn out some art. I need to create something from within. And that's probably a lot better for, you know, doing the entire tactile experience that you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it definitely feels more like there's something that needs to be expressed, and like something in my body almost that like has to come out. And like that's when I turn to the physical side of painting.
I feel that. I've never really been much of a painter, but I've painted a couple of times recently, and just
Oh yeah.
yeah, I put a canvas out, and it was just squirting paints together and like mixing the colors and seeing what happened, and then going, ooh, I want to try it and see what this color adds to it. You know, I don't have any theory. I don't understand color theory, but just squirting and mixing paints, like I couldn't help but be smiling the whole time, you know, and partially because it's uncomfortable and I don't know what I'm doing. So it's like kind of,
like a nervous smile. Yeah.
But at the same time, the other part is like this, I've never done this before. It feels cool. It feels fun.
That never goes away, bro.
Yeah. That's an amazing
it really
part.
Doesn't. And well, I mean, yeah, if you can like maintain a connection to that little aspect of it, it hopefully will never go away for you. The way you're describing that reminds me of like art therapy. And I think that is part of what happens when I make a painting is like, it's therapeutic. Like picking out the colors and like touching it with your hands. That's a very non-mental, like deeply somatic experience that you're having, where something that you can't access intellectually is like having a chance to come out onto the paper or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm curious now that you said that so what made you did you start watercolors like as your first kind of vein in art, or did you do things before that led to that?
I've always been making art, and it really for a very long time it was just a matter of access. And like when I was really little, I remember using a lot of crayons and colored pencils, like just what was around. And then I really got into watercolor once again because my mom was a teacher and she would bring home those like shitty Crayola, like, you know, like the
like the like white,
the rainbow colors.
Yeah.
I know exactly. I can almost hear the thing close. You know what I mean? Like so ingrained in my brain.
With like the shitty paintbrush in there. So she just gave me a few of those, and one day I wanted to make art and that was all I had, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna play with these. And then it like felt really good. It like worked, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I remember I bought my first like nice watercolor set only a few years ago, and I was like, it was like $50, and it's like these beautiful colors, and I was like, oh, this is like expensive, but it's, oh my gosh, it's so nice. It's like big step up from the Crayola.
Heck yeah.
Totally.
Box.
Having the right tools makes a hell of a difference.
Yeah. I'm just like self-taught, you know, and like it really has just been a matter of like what tools do I have access to, and it doesn't even occur to me sometimes that like the tools I'm using maybe aren't the best fit for like the medium. And like I bought nice watercolor paintbrushes only a year ago or so, and I was like, whoa, like it makes a really big difference.
Isn't
like
that funny?
Actually being able to control where the paint is going, like, who knew?
I think those realizations though, like, well, I guess the realization is the product of it, but being able to just create in that way, I think is the most genuine. You know, when you're trying to say, okay, I can't do watercolor today because I'm waiting for this brush to come in because I need it for this specific thing. It tends to curb the creativity. But when you're like, you know what, fuck, I'm just going to do what I do with what I do, then you have to almost be extra creative to make what you have do what you need it to do.
Yeah.
Also, so I have a question for you, because I felt like when I was at my like lowest, at my poorest, at struggling every day to wonder how I was going to make rent, I painted the most, just as like therapeutically, right? So it's like, is it the tortured like artist? Is that like, do you feel that way at all, or do you create when you're in like a good space?
Oh man, what an interesting question. The moments in my life when I've made the most art have definitely been the moments when I've had free time, like probably too much free time. I mean, too much, I don't know what too much means, but it's there have been like these really definitive chunks of time where it's like I was unemployed for whatever reason. And like there was one moment when I was like having to live at my mom's house and didn't have a job. And I was like, God, what am I going to do with my life? And I just made art every day. And it was awesome. And it like ended up helping me through that moment.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that's kind of what's been happening the last few days too. I've been like really preoccupied with school and like really not focusing on art. And then the first quarter ended for me last Saturday. And the next few days after that, I was just like, what am I? What do I do? Like, what do I do with my time? And that was part of why I started that painting, because I was like, I'm going crazy. Like, I don't even remember what I do with my free time. And then I started working on this painting and I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's what I do. Like, that feels really nice.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's an answer. I think my answer is yes. I turn to art when I've definitely turned to art when I've been like really up and feeling really inspired and been like in a good place. But a lot of the time it's something that I turn to when it's like, when I'm confronted with like all this open free time and I don't really know what else to do with myself, I guess.
Yeah, I've been trying to convince Jim of that. He's like, I got time to offer, bro. I'm like, paint. He was like, I don't know how. I was like, just do it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just do it.
Yeah, I got, I have that. The one good thing I do have going for me as an artist is I have that critical self-doubt. So, that'll help.
Welcome to the club, baby.
Yeah.
Dude, I say that more on this. I mean, this is going to be episode like 64. And I think I've said almost in every interview, I'm like, do you just constantly judge yourself and hate yourself? To like everybody. They're like, yeah,
kind of.
Yeah, you too. How'd you know?
So funny.
Man.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm definitely my own worst critic. I mean, I think we all are.
Yeah. But it's like the piece that you like the least is the first one to sell. Like there's just it's weird. It's everybody. I thought, for so long I was like, oh, it's just me being judgmental of myself or whatever. And then the more I talk to people, I'm like, no, it's kind of just like a human reaction to like putting something out. Like, all right,
yeah,
here's this thing for everyone to judge or whatever it is, Yeah.
Well, and people always say that like the piece that you don't think is good and you don't want to share with the world, like that's often the piece where people are like, whoa. And I have stuff like that where I'm like, this will never see the light of day. I will never show. But I'm curious. There's a part of me that's curious where I'm like, maybe that is the one that people would be like, oh,
yeah.
Awesome. But I'm just like I'm like, it was too real or something, or I don't know. It's like embarrassing.
or it feels incomplete, or it's not the picture you had of it in your head. And so that's not good enough because it's not exactly what I had in my head, but they don't know what was there and they see it and they don't see the imperfection that you see. They see a fresh piece of art, that for sure for me, it's been music, but those songs that I don't want anybody to hear, someone will catch a little bit of it and they're like, that's the one, bro. And it's like, nah, it ain't, but it is.
Yeah. I make a little bit of music. That's like a very, maybe like 4th or 5th tier hobby. Like if I just have nothing but free time.
Dude, I've never heard your music. You send me a song, bro.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. Well, to what you were just saying, it's like embarrassing though, where like, I think it's just, I have art is comfortable for me because there's space between me expressing it and it being perceived. Like I don't have to be there in the moment singing or whatever,
Yeah.
Music though is like, you listen to something that I wrote or I sang and it's like you are basically watching me express myself. And I'm like, that is so gnarly. Like that's the scariest thing in the world for me for some reason.
I thrive on that shit. That to me is the best part of making music is like the presentation. It's like get up on stage, everybody look at me.
But also we know that like downer of like getting really amped up on something you're doing and having 6 people look at you awkward.
Oh,
and that's it. That's the whole crowd or something, you know. We've went on
That's
tours.
my worst fear, is that I'm gonna like really try and everyone's gonna be like loser.
See,
Yeah.
for
Like, oh, you're
sure,
so bad.
yeah.
And
I
I'm
mean,
like,
that's
oh,
every
no.
night though. That's every night we play a show, you know, or at least like when we were in a band together, it's like every night could be that show where just everyone's like, what the fuck is this?
It's very brave. It's very vulnerable.
Yeah, sometimes in those situations, I would rather hear somebody like boo or heckle me than just completely
Just
ignore
silent.
me. Yeah.
No reaction.
That's
to
the
you bearing your
worst.
soul.
Yeah.
But yeah, art is nice in that way because you can be in a group show or you can be in the gallery on like your opening night and not have anyone know what you're doing or whose piece is
Or
whose.
they don't know what emotion I was feeling while I was painting. They don't know if I was like smiling or crying or
Right.
whatever, you know, like you can there's just this extra layer or extra step of removal that is a lot more comfortable for me.
Oh, absolutely. I think even live art is kind of less vulnerable than music because you at least have your back to like whoever's watching you, right? Like you're just looking at the canvas. So it's like even when you're doing something live, it's not like you're presenting it the way you would do if you were doing music or like say like a stand-up comedian or a play, something like that. You know what I mean?
Man, I have done karaoke so many times. I've done it drunk, blackout drunk. I've done it sober. I've done it just a little bit buzzed. I've done it on any drug you can imagine, and I fucking hate it every single time. I finally just got to a place where I was like, I think I just hate karaoke. I think I just will never do it again because I really tried, and it is the worst feeling for me.
Yo, I don't know if I knew you when I worked there, but I worked in Gaslamp in San Diego, like downtown, at a bar that did karaoke every night. And so I got the ins and outs. I saw every song. I saw every kind of karaoke personality. There's nothing good about it. Karaoke's not fun. Everyone that's listening to this, if you do karaoke, stop. It's terrible.
Well, the thing is, I enjoy watching people do it.
It's not, no, you won't if you do it long enough.
The problem was you were in the gas lamp. I think that was like a big part of the problem. No one wants to be in the gas lamp.
No, yeah. Everyone's like, oh, San Diego, did you ever go to the gas lamp? I was like, I lived and worked there. It's the worst place in San Diego.
My nightmare.
You know, there is something to be said, though, about those moments. And I think here's probably what's wrong with karaoke. Karaoke is this grandiozed idea of you sounding like the person that you're trying to sing like, and you're projecting this image in your head. For me, it's
Garth Brooks.
Of course, obviously.
Obviously.
But when you're creating music or when you're actually like, when you're being an artist, there's something about how it draws you in that moment and you can't be anywhere else. And you're not projecting anything other than the intention of that song or the intention of that art. And you can't, like the external stuff starts to bounce away. And I think that's what, for me at least, draws me to a piece that I've created or makes me not want to put a piece out because it's like a snapshot of that moment in time where I was at that time. And it doesn't change for me. You know, they don't see, the observer doesn't see that, but it's almost like that moment I got to not only be so in this moment right now, but have something to show for it at the end of the moment rather than just a memory. And there's something to be said about that as an artist, where that is so therapeutic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like we were saying earlier, it's a way to, because I mean, language is a powerful tool, and being able to express how you feel is like worth so much, but there's so much that just can never be expressed with language, and it can only come out with colors and shapes, and it's like, art is. I will never stop creating, hopefully. I mean, I'll find a way. I think it's something that like every human being is creative. I think some people are just more aware of it than others. And if I go too long without creating something, I mean, I feel like life just like changes. It sucks.
Yeah, that's, I mean, we were talking about earlier, and I was saying that I'm only creative when I'm at my like lowest points or whatever. I'm most creative at my lowest points, but I always find a time, a day, whatever it is, to make something, and to continue on that through 35 years of age. Like, I feel pretty fucking blessed that I didn't like give up. This is maybe the one thing in my life that I didn't give up on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can hold a job, I can do all that shit, but like personal goals, making art's the only thing that I still like is still relevant to me in my adult life.
Yeah. Oh, that's really beautiful. And that's a really beautiful way of looking at it. I've never, because I'm like a serial like experimenter as well. We're all like same. Like I can get a job, I'll try it out for a year or two. I've like dipped my toes into a lot of different ways of living and lifestyles. And the one thing that has been there my whole life that I guess I've never given up on, which I've never thought about it that way before, is making art, which is so cool.
That struggle though, that dedication is the difference between that AI art that we were talking about earlier and the true artist created art though. Like an AI cannot pretend or cannot recreate the emotion that went into it. The brush strokes, the tears that fell on the page, or the tears, there's just no way to recreate time in between in a painting to where you're feeling three different ways as you did the painting, and it comes out and all three of those emotions are there. You know,
it's going to be pretty damn close, dude. AI is fucking insane.
And I think that's the important distinction is when you're looking at the finished product, maybe it won't be obvious, but I think what art does for us, like the finished product is such a small piece of what art does for us.
Totally.
It's like that human experience of making something is always hopefully going to be available to us as humans. And like that like makes us human.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah. And that just proves the art is for the artist really more than it's for anybody else, Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think any artists, I mean, a lot of artists do, but I don't think any artists that aren't popular or not selling work create stuff in the hype of like, I'm going to sell this for a bunch of money.
Yeah, so
we've
Mr.
all given
Brainwash.
up on that at that point. At this point, right? It's like,
I have so many different quick little moments in my life. I've been like, maybe I could do
yeah, like full time. Yeah.
It's like, oh God, I don't have the skills to like market myself that way. And I can't even pretend to care. If everyone likes me or what. I'm just like, God, I'm so bored and tired. Like, I don't care. Dude,
well, on that note, thank you for being the cover of issue 2, Ratnest Zine.
Thank you so much.
It will be out in January because I got this job and it pushed everything back a month, which is unfortunate, but I'm not going to try to rush it.
My birthday's in January, so that'll be a nice little gift for me.
Nice. Yeah, I will send you a stack for sure. Awesome. But yeah, no, really cool interview. We didn't talk about any of this stuff, which is nice. We had kind of like just a different mode to that. It's always different doing like a written interview than just having a conversation with somebody. You know what I mean?
I liked it though. That was a cool way to do it. I appreciated it.
Yeah, I believe that the last question I asked you was what's your favorite mythical creature, which was a pretty sweet way to end it.
I know. I like. Do you ask everyone that?
No, that was just for you.
Nice.
Uniquity. The pieces that you submitted for the zine are rad too. Like
thank you.
I really when he showed me at first, that was the first experience I got with your kind of newer style of art that you're doing. I dig it a lot. Almost that like tarot card-esque vibe to it. Like it has a very esoteric feel to it, like immediately just looking at it. That was really cool and not what I expected coming from the watercolor that I knew you as.
Totally. A little more like iconic and almost like illustrative. I don't know how to describe it quite, but I hope that makes sense to you. Seeing
yeah,
you know,
and that is definitely like kind of the vision behind it. So it's really rad that came across.
I'm a sucker for words in art too. Like whenever you can incorporate some font and make it add to the painting or the piece, I love that. So just like the card style, almost with the sentencing at the bottom, so clean to me. You know, so clean and fresh. I dig it. What has been the inspiration for that, or at least those pieces in particular?
Those pieces were, so I've kind of had like this symbol with me my whole life. I don't know if you can see, I have like a little hand here tattooed on my chest. I don't remember when that symbol first came to me, but for most of my life, I've just held that as like the way that I want to move through life, with like an open hand. It's basically the, like, I don't know, the way I could describe it. Versus a closed hand where you're like, I guess it's kind of like Buddhist philosophical thought. Like, instead of grasping at things or trying to control or wanting things to be a certain way, like having that practice, and it's an active practice where I'm constantly having to remember, like, relax my hand, keep it open, like let things flow. And like, also there's just so many things that go into it. And I had this idea for a long time that like, that's kind of like the core like message of my lifetime, maybe, or maybe I wanted to like
something you want to live by.
Something I want to live by. And I had the idea of making it this like bigger, like kind of lifelong project. Like maybe when I'm very old, I'll like compile everything into a book or something, and that will kind of be the like driving message. So it was really cool to have an opportunity to, this just felt like the right place to sort of get a few of those ideas down. And
it's cool.
It's cool. It's very cohesive, and it's different than the piece that I used for the cover. Because when did I buy that? I think I bought that the first show we did together 5 years ago or something. You know what I mean? Like,
that was 5 years ago.
It's amazing to see your style change and you grow as an artist and as a person. And I'm so happy that, get to be your friend, dude.
Yeah. It's so good to know you, Matt. And to know you now too. It's Jim, right?
Yeah. That's right. No, it's been cool. I've definitely enjoyed watching, like, following on Instagram, especially because you were the first interview. It was like, oh, I'm going to follow everybody that we talked to. And so I have gotten to, for the last 2 years, see everything that you're posting and like going through kind of chronologically from then till now. It's awesome being able to sit down and just catch up and see like, oh, well, shit, it's the same person that I met 2 years ago. Just there's been a lot more stuff happening, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I mean, for everyone in the world, the last couple of years have been a hugely transformative time. And it's so nice to sit down with you guys again and catch up. And
I'm gonna end it on this. We're gonna wrap up right now, but I don't know if this was the first time we met, but you picked me up drunk one of the first times we met. And I sat in your back seat and just like screamed the anniversary. I don't know if you like remember this, like in North Park, like you drove me home and I was just like, this is the best song ever made. Do you remember this? I don't know if you remember that. It always lives with me.
I wish I did.
Oh man.
Oh my God.
It was great.
That sounds like a lovely, I do know that you, like, as soon as I met you, I was like, this dude's rad. Like, this is gonna be a good art buddy. Like, I don't know, you've just always been such a supporter, and it's so appreciated. And
hell yeah, dude,
everything you make is so rad. And I love what you're doing with Ratnest. You guys are just
You're too
doing
sweet.
Lord's
Too
work.
nice. We
All right.
have to end on that. That's
Yeah,
just
we're
too
gonna
nice.
get out of here because that's the best compliment we've ever gotten.
Right.
So, is there anything we can shout out? Do you have anything coming up? Any shows or anything?
No, just watch my Instagram. I'm not like the most engaged person on there because I need to tend to my real life, but I try to keep it pretty updated. If I make anything new, I post
That's
on
at
there.
clown.fruits.
That's me.
That's it, at clown.fruits. Also, go to Fall Brewing in San Diego and say hi. She might be behind the counter. Who knows?
Come
Can
through on a
I
weekend,
shout that
maybe you'll
out?
see
Is that
me.
okay?
What was that?
I said, is that okay that I told everyone where you
Oh
work?
yeah, of course. Yeah, it's fine. If I get any stalkers, I'll just
Send them our
let
way.
you know.
Yeah.
That's how you know we're getting famous. If you get stalkers, that'll be sweet.
That's right.
Yeah.
But
Well,
All right, guys.
yeah,
awesome.
thank
Thank
you,
you so
dude.
much for having me.
Thanks again, Amber. Really appreciate you sitting down. It's been a good hour with you. Thank you again.
Yeah. My
All right,
pleasure.
June. This has been another episode of the Ratnest Podcast. You can catch us every week on YouTube for video and anywhere you stream your podcast for the audio. Go to ratneststickerco.com for zines, comics, stickers, and Jim, anything?
More.
All right, cool.
I'm Jim.
See you next week.